Been playing some of Deathloop. I'm about 5 hours ish in. I think we're around the same area, but let's give some experiences playing the game. Have you, right off the bat, have you had any performance stuff or any issues with the game itself? I've had some on PS5, but I know it's kind of hit and miss with some people on PC. They're having some performance issues. But what's your experience been like?
I think for the most part it's been running fine. I think it looks decent. I don't think it's, the best looking game out or anything like that, but I haven't had any sort of negatives in that area. I think every time the little cinematic it plays when you wake up on the beach is a little bit juddery, but that's probably about it. I think I've been pretty lucky from that side of things. But yeah, I've heard it performs quite poorly on PC. Um, and that was something I was thinking about getting it on PC as well. So I'm glad I opted for this just easier the easier route where it's all just spec'd up for you on the PS5. And yeah, I've had no performance issues at all.
So I bring that up because I've had audio stuff going on. So there you have this antagonist calling you on your radio every once in a while, Juliana. I have yet to hear her voice in those interactions. So I've deleted the game, re-downloaded it, still had that same
Have
issue.
have you muted your controller speaker? Because her voice comes out of the controller.
I don't know, Callum. Come on, man.
So
I was thinking that maybe the game did something wrong. You telling me that I could have heard
sorry,
her through my
that's
speaker?
me putting my IT support head on
God
there.
damn it. I didn't know that
Trying
was
to
a
fix the problems.
interesting. Okay, so she
Yeah.
only communicates through the speaker of the
Yeah. So
DualSense. So you're telling me.
you might have turned your speaker down on your controller, perhaps.
Oh boy. I think
It's
I
worth a check.
yeah, I'll check that. I think I do have in the settings some kind of default thing doing that.
Yeah.
Although I noticed like when you manually mute it, it has that yellowed out option on your DualSense
Yeah.
and it doesn't
And
it's not lit up.
either way, that like it should be able to know if your controller speaker's turned down and play it out of your TV or something. It can't
You're
like
right. It
mistake.
is the game's fault. Let's get back to
Yeah.
that. It's the
Yeah.
game not knowing that man.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll check that out. But beyond that, there's also another little performance thing I had on PS5 where the frame rate was weird, and I'm not a whole like frame rate expert or whatever. But when it dips enough where it's like, okay, this feels weird, almost kind
Mm.
of nauseous. I had that a bit when I played on PS5. When I deleted and re-downloaded the game, that seemed to fix it. I don't know if what was happening, but I did experience that a little bit where it was just kind of weird to move around and to aim. But now it's running smoothly. There is those three performance options or three visual options rather. There's performance and then those two visual ones you can toggle. I don't notice a difference between those. Have you messed with those at all?
I haven't actually. I wasn't even sure what different sort of options there were. I haven't looked yet, but yeah, no, I haven't toggled through them at all.
Gotcha. So there's three. There's one that is ray tracing enabled, and that one will. I want to say it's not a lock 60. It's like hovers around 40 FPS, 50 FPS. Then there is a lock 60, and then there's kind of a balance between the two. And I've toggled between them, and I don't know any visual difference, and it seems to
Yeah.
run, around 60 on all of them. So, but yeah, I played around with that, and it still looks, really good. It has that same style as Arcane does with their games, and I love this style. And so that goes a long ways to where maybe it's not gonna blow you away but the art style rather blows me away more than anything.
Yeah. There's definitely I think whenever you see an Arcane game, you know it's an Arcane game. They really have a sort of a particular style and uh, yeah, the way their games are. There's just, I mean, it's similar when we talk about Resident Evil 4. I mean, that game just has a very distinct style that you can't describe, and I think it's the same for Arcane games. They with Dishonored and everything. I think, yeah, there's definitely just some DNA in their games that you can recognize, and it's really cool because I haven't played. I played the first Dishonored when it first came out, but I never finished it, and I haven't played it since. So I know that there's that they're meant to be really great games. So I've been looking forward to playing Deathloop, and whilst playing it, I have been sort of thinking maybe I should go back to Dishonored because I can definitely remember Dishonored playing very similarly, and how you have these targets and you've got to try and decide the best way to take them out, and you're always trying to look for sort of vertical ways up the levels and things like that. So yeah, I think the DNA is definitely there, and it's nice to see that they're not trying to change the things that they do well, and that they're just trying to sort of expand on it. I think that's cool.
Yeah, and this one, it always when they first showed it off, it was really on my radar where it would seem to rely heavily on action compared to the other games from Arcane. So with Dishonored, it was way more about sneaking. You had that action element for sure, but there was way more options for sneaking around, for being undetected. With Deathloop, you can still do that, but it's more of a, they focus you on, you know, actually running and gunning action kind of elements. And I do enjoy that. Although as I'm playing, it's like I would like the option to, you can sneak around, but I always end up messing it up and then have to kill everybody or I die.
Yeah.
But if you do enjoy sneaking, not Deathloop, the Dishonored series is awesome for that, with all the options you have for just being a stealth ninja and then just taking
Mhm.
people out.
Yeah, I do definitely want to get into those, but I like the sort of run and gun nature of Deathloop as well. I mean, I'm not very good at it again, but it's it seems pretty fun in that there's lots of different like things around you that you can use to your advantage, and it seems quite nice to you in the way how you can escape enemies and sort of hold down little positions and run away if you need to and grab health. It seems manageable, but you do die very quickly, um and you do start off as like a very weakened version of what you can be, because obviously there's a lot of growing room with all your slabs and your abilities and things. um so it's nice because I think yeah, I'm about 6 or 7 hours in, and I'm starting to feel my character getting better equipped and stronger and everything, and obviously just getting to know the maps as well, because there's only four sort of key locations, so you do get to know them quite well. So yeah, it definitely feels like something's clicking, and I think it's a cool take on the sort of Dishonored stepping around and using these like arcane abilities and things. I think it's a, like I said earlier, it's still got that DNA of their games, which I think is really important, but it definitely feels different to anything I've certainly played in a while from anybody.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I love the setting it's in with this kind of pseudo 60s 70s kind of style, but with still like modern tech mixed in there. You have your magic elements in there somewhat too. I'm really enjoying it. I'm starting to get to the point where your weapons carry over, which is awesome. I was under the impression at the beginning where it's like once I reset, everything is reset, where I have to then go and find, because I found some cool weapons and they kind of show you that there's these side missions where you can find various overpowered weapons that are really unique and cool, but then you lose them. So I now finally unlocked the ability to carry that stuff over. And so now I'm on
Mm,
board. I was initially thinking like, oh
yeah.
man, I have to, build from the ground up and do everything over again. You don't have to do that. That is really neat. It's trying to show you all the different bosses that you'll have to find, how you would then kill them, and then how to actually maneuver them into the same area, or like to
Mhm.
try to make the most efficient run where you can actually get them all in one day,
Yeah.
which seems like a lot of work. Like I'm in at the beginning right now, and I still understand who I need to get where. It seems like it's going to be a big hurdle, but I'm still it seems fun to actually try and get them together and to complete it. Have you tried the because there's that multiplayer aspect, which makes more sense now. So it's another character that can jump into your game playing Juliana, who will hunt you every once in a while, or you can be that person, and then you can also turn that off, and it's just the computer running after you. Have
Mhm.
you messed with that at all?
Oh yeah, I put it straight into single player mode as soon as I could.
Yeah.
I just, yeah, I mean, I would imagine that people are probably, because I don't know how like leveling up your Juliana works or what gear you get with her, but I imagine you can get some pretty powerful stuff. So I just, yeah, I can't be bothered to have to. I mean, like I say, I'm still not very good at the game, so I just don't need that
Right.
right now. Maybe when I'm getting better and everything, um, but I really like the aspect of Juliana sort of showing up, because it can, you spend a lot of time trying to like infiltrate one of these places where these targets are, and there's a lot of locked doors, and you got to find lots of different vertical ways around things and everything. And she can just appear when you're right near the end
Yep.
of it, and it's scary because you don't get the option to infuse your gear, where you spend some of that, the residuum sort of currency or whatever it's called. You don't get that option until you've left the level. So it can be pretty scary when you've already died a couple times, and Juliana invades your
Yeah.
game. It's pretty cool. And there's also a massive payoff, because when you kill her, she drops random slabs, and slabs are like the abilities that you get off of these visionaries that you're trying to kill. And she can carry any of them at any time. So it's a really good way to grab those and fuse them and keep them forever, and then you can start upgrading them and things. So there's a lot to it. It just feels like it starts to unfold quite slowly, and I think that might be off-putting some people, just given how confusing the game is before you've even started it up. But I'm glad I've stuck through it, and I feel like it's really starting to bear its fruits now.
Yeah, same. I had that initial, hesitation or frustration with it, but I knew that okay, I'm really early on. There's a lot to kind of unfold, and the game needs to show me it in various stages. And I think they've done a good route with unfolding information, because it is you have to kind of think ahead with new players. Like, of course, you have all these cool features and different things to do, but there's an art to how you unfold that information with the player and not turn them off. I think they've done a really good job with doing that. I do want to try with Juliana. I've also turned off the whole multiplayer thing, so it's just the AI following me around. But it seems like a really cool way to make this game replayable. Once you do complete it, you jump in as Juliana, or you enable it and play again, and with her being an actual player jumping in. So it seems like a really cool idea to me.
Yeah, and I think you get sort of rewards for your cult playthrough as well if you do it. I think, I mean, I don't know whether you sort of have like a separate profile or loadout for Juliana or whatever, but yeah, no, I've heard it's quite difficult. It's more sort of in the favor of the player who you're invading, so it can be quite difficult at first. But I've also heard that people have gotten really good at it and know like the spawn points and things like that, which can be quite frustrating because they can just sort of sneak up on you and just break your neck, and then
Right.
that's your sort of run over, which might be quite annoying. But I think as you get further in the game, you'll probably start feeling a lot more confident in how the game plays, and you might want that sort of challenge added to it. So it's a really interesting feature to have, and I'm glad that I sort of understand exactly what they were trying to explain with with all the trailers and things now.
Right, right. I understand also with the need to kind of bump up the difficulty. I had that initially where a lot of the enemies are pretty easy to kill. They're also a little on the dumb side. I think that's maybe the same formula with say with other arcane games like Dishonored, where they're not the smartest AI, but in this game where they start to balance that out as you get further in, is they throw a ton of enemies at you, and it seems like that's how they're kind of going back and forth with it. But I did initially think that, man, everyone's really dumb. I'll kill somebody, feet away from another character, and they don't notice anything, don't hear anything. Other times, I will take someone out, and then they'll hear from across the map and come and find me. So it is a weird balance there, but they seem to just throw more people at you as you go forward.
Yeah, and I've heard that, I think, because when you can sort of scan these enemies and it will tell you their sort of skills, and some of them it says like is a really good shot, or is
Right.
or the other way around. And I think that they get more common the more visionaries you kill, because every visionary kill you're going to get like a really cool special ability, which is going to really help you, especially when you're in combat with lots of enemies. So I think that they just sort of have harder enemies and up their sort of skill, because there's been a lot of gunfights that I've got into in places I'd been before, but they were very different, where they'd start putting mines down,
Mm.
and yeah, there was just they just seem a lot more aggressive. But again, I don't know if that's just because I'm not getting better at the game. Um, but yeah, it definitely feels like it's doing something to keep that difficulty kind of balanced as you get stronger as well. But at least that when you get stronger, the game becomes a bit more, there's less sort of pressure, because there's a lot of pressure around sneaking around and not going head first. But as you get these really cool weapons that you get to keep over runs and these abilities, that's when it just becomes really fun to run around and go out all guns blazing. Because I think that's how they sort of showed it in the trailers as well. All the trailers were full of like really cool gunfights, but then I felt that in the game it tries to talk you out of doing that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So as I've got further in and gotten a little bit more, understanding how the game works and getting access to different guns and abilities, I've started, trying to have a bit more fun with it and just be a bit more aggressive. Um, but yeah, that is actually one thing I did find, is it doesn't really make its fun special abilities and weapons very attractive, because it's always trying to talk you out of using them.
Yeah, I noticed that same thing. There's the messages that Colt is leaving behind, or someone's leaving behind for him, that you actually see in text form in the world, and they're often like, "Don't go over here," or "Turn back
Mm,
around," or
yeah.
kill yourself. It's like it's all this stuff where it's like, oh, delete the game. It's all these things like that. But I wonder if they're just trying to ease players into the challenge. Maybe there's a little bit of that. But
Mhm.
yeah, we've seen trailers where it's just run and gun action, but it's maybe when you're at that point. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'll disregard those messages and go, yeah, whatever. And I'm just going to keep going forward. And usually I die or whatever.
yeah,
Someone did pull up on Twitter. I want to say it was Lucy O'Brien from IGN. And I have felt the same way. She was saying that one of her favorite things is to grab one of those briefcases with the turrets, drop it in a room, and like walk away and like set it and just mow
yeah,
people down. That's pretty
yeah,
dope. Although I've been killed plenty of times by those turrets, like I just don't notice
yeah.
them, and they just take you out, and it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, the turrets are pretty interesting. They do kill you very, very quickly, probably quicker than any of the enemies I've actually faced
Yeah,
yet. But yeah, they can be really useful, and they make it quite difficult to hack them as well. I find like you have to really be in their line of fire to hack them, so it
right.
can be pretty nerve-wracking trying to get one on your side. But yeah, there was a few times where I sort of uh, started a fight with a lot of enemies, and I kind of wish I hadn't. So I was just sort of, I find I do this a lot where you just sort of have this part that you can keep retreating back to, and you can like regroup, and maybe there's one of those health stations there or whatever. And yeah, I find turrets are helpful for that because you could sort of make them chase you and bring them down to your turret, and that can help. But so yeah, so I think there's a lot of I think the turret's a great example of different ways that you can approach this game because there's lots of different character perks you can get related to turrets and things as well. So
Mhm.
I think that they must know that these are there to be utilized. But yeah, like you said, they kill you very easily as well. So they are kind of a double-edged sword.
Right. I've noticed with the hacking, you can. I don't know if it's a bug or something, and maybe this is one of my invented bugs that I've made up. But you can you have to get into a range to actually hack it. But once you look at it visually, you start the hack. If you move away from its line of sight, you're still hacking. So you don't have to actually stay and
Mhm.
keep looking at it. So I've
Yeah.
noticed you can peek around a corner, start the hack, and then move away, and you're somehow still hacking it, and not in no longer danger of getting shot at. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's an intentional thing or what.
Yeah, I didn't realize that actually. That sounds useful.
Yeah, it's something in there that, along with my muted mic, that I've noticed. But yeah, so you're pretty positive overall. I'm losing my voice somehow. I'm also super positive on it. I want to continue playing it. I've read people are saying around like 20 hours of gameplay ish. I feel like that's I expected more. Not like I need more, but it seems like with the amount of experimentation, there was going to be a lot more gameplay hours.
Mm.
But I'm totally fine with if it's around 15, 20.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how much you enjoy the online aspect to it. I mean, that might be. I know that like player invasion, multiplayer. I mean, you look at Dark Souls, people, have played that for years. Just that aspect of it. So it might keep an audience, a portion of an audience past 20 hours. But I think that's a great length for if you look at a game like Dishonored or Dishonored 2. They're maybe not even 20 hours those games, but you'd be pleased with a game of that length in that kind of genre. I think anything above 20 hours to finish the game would probably be a bit too long for personally for me for a game like this. But yeah, no, I think it sounds like a great length and it's definitely got a lot to it. There's no way of feeling hard done by the price or anything like that. I don't think it's definitely worth the admission fee, I think.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Have you noticed you're playing on PS5 as well, obviously? So that was one of my reasons why I went PS5 and not PC was the DualSense features. There's a whole thing with the gun jam, which does happen in the game. I don't know if I notice it when it happens on the trigger. It's just I see the button prompt,
Mm.
unjam the gun. Okay, fine, but I'm not noticing anything crazy on the triggers. Or do you have the same experience?
Yeah, I'm the same. Obviously, there's something there, but it doesn't seem to be quite as impactful as maybe it was explained sort of probably before the DualSense was even out when all the sort of previews were coming out about it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it works well. I mean, the footsteps are quite cool. It sort of helps you to know if you're crouched or not. And I
Right.
find that in some games can be quite annoying, especially ones that require quite a lot of stealth, is knowing whether you're crouched or not. So that's quite a nice way to feed that sort of to you. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say the dual sense isn't good, but yeah, I think maybe they could be a bit better for sure.
Yeah, I guess I was interpreting it as the gun or the trigger actually like locks like halfway, like you
Mm,
feel pressure
yeah.
where you can no longer press it, and it's just kind of I think they give way of any resistance, so it's just that is the
Hmm.
feeling of the gun jamming. But yeah, it's a little thing. It's not the end of the world, but I didn't notice a big change on that. But the
Yeah.
vibration you mentioned, yeah, that's really dope with the steps that you're taking. Just in general, the DualSense vibration is awesome.
Mhm.
But yeah, maybe I think we still need more time to fully, this is the first year of the PS5 in that feature itself on the DualSense, so it's going to take time. Or it's just a cool little thing that is there if devs want to use
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and I think that's what it will be at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't think it's massively important. It's just like a nice little have, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, I play lots of games on my PC with a DualShock 4, and I don't sort of sit here missing all of the feedback or anything. So, but yeah, it's nice. It's always just a nice touch. It just adds to the experience. It can't really in a negative way unless it's just gonna like vibrate for no reason.
Right. Which could be cool. It could be a cool feature. I don't know.
Could be cool. Yeah, could be cool.
I think Astro's Playroom is probably my favorite experience with like really, and it's a tech demo,
Mm.
I guess, but it's really pushing all the different features on the DualSense, and that was still my favorite example of like what can be done with that DualSense.
Yeah, and I still need to get the new Ratchet and Clank, and I've heard that it's good with that as well. So, and Returnal, it's a big sort of feature in
True.
Returnal as well, which I think stands out better than sort of some other games. But yeah, I mean, it's not the be all and end all if it's not ever, you know, really impactfully used. But it would be nice if they do try taking risks with it. That break our controllers. Let's proper go for it.
Yeah. They're only 70, $80, big deal.
Yeah.
All right, Callum. We're gonna continue playing on with DualSense with Deathloop. Having fun with it.